Want help to grow your business? Download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.
Hello and welcome to The Human Element. My name's Nicole Wales. I'm the founder and managing director of Human Tribe and your host for the Human Element series. Today we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts when it comes to workplace law. Now, the human side of workplace law is rarely black and white. There's certain things that organisations and people within those organisations can do to minimise the grey. They can put compliant and fair systems and processes into place, and better still, they can enact those systems and processes. And when things get tricky, they can engage with a trusted expert. I'm very excited today to have my trusted expert here with us, Andrew Bland. Andrew Bland is an employment lawyer and business owner of Bland's Law. Andrew joins us with over 25 years experience in workplace law and over 10 years experience owning and operating his own business. Andrew and his team advise small, medium and large businesses, and what I love about working with Andrew is he frames things, anything to do with workplace law, in a way that's easy to understand. So welcome, Andrew.
Thanks, Nicole. Great to be here.
Excellent. So we've got quite a few topics to get through today when it comes to workplace law. So if you're comfortable, I'd really like to kick off straight away.
Yeah, let's get
going.
Great.
So what I'd like to talk about first of all is performance management. Often I find with clients, it gets a little bit blurry as to when it crosses over the line into bullying. So what can you tell our business owners and leaders that are watching here today?
Okay, so first of all, what it is in performance management, it's not performance appraisal. So we talk about the performance appraisal, more the positive side of things. Yep. Where things turn sour, that's when you need to bring in performance management. And it's about managing those employees that aren't doing their job properly. And the whole premise of it is to give that person a reasonable opportunity to fix up their performance.
Yep. And
you go through processes along the way to achieve that.
Okay, great. So how do you find the lines get blurry? How do they get blurry? When does it become bullying? When is it not bullying? Yeah,
it's a good question, and it is really blurry and grey. But what I'd suggest to those that are performing performance management and doing it is to try and be as dispassionate as possible. Now, that's easier said than done, but you want to try and be very business person-like about it, and to ensure that you're not raising your voice, you're not slamming your fist down. More so, some of the more subtle things like not interrupting when the employee's trying to give their side of the story, and not giving the appearance that that it's your mind's already made up. I mean, the performance management exercise is supposed to be a positive exercise in terms of getting the employee back to performing the way they're expected to be employing. So it's not all about exiting them from the organisation, but where it turns into bullying is where the inappropriate behaviour comes in, and that's through perhaps the person running the meeting just getting overexcited or nervous or just agitated. And as I say, the shouting takes over, the slamming of the doors, but again, even things like interrupting the employees or not giving them an opportunity or a fair chance to say what they need to say, that's where it can cross over into bullying. And the problem then becomes that the performance management process is derailed because you've got another claim set for bullying.
Yeah, great. What about if someone feels that they haven't been bullying, so that they have been dispassionate, that they have, maintained a business-like composure, and they feel that they've followed those systems and processes, yet the employee sometimes claims that it's bullying.
Yeah.
What do you do there?
And it's a common strategy amongst employees that are not performing. They're trying to come up with excuses why. Now, that's the negative side to it. Obviously, there are employees that genuinely want to get back to performing. But what they'll put in a claim for bullying, and it's really important from the employer's perspective that they deal with that, but they don't let it derail the process of the performance management. So what you say is, okay, that's fine. We'll deal with the bullying as a separate investigation. We'll investigate it, but we're going to continue on with the performance management regardless, so that the employee doesn't succeed in the strategy, if that's what it is, to derail the performance management process. So you can have parallel lines where you've got a bullying complaint going on the one hand,
Yes.
and that's all investigated and fine, and probably all looked at and everything gone into, but then continue on with that performance management process at the same time.
Yeah, great. So say we've got a leader out there at the moment that recognises they need to have a performance management discussion with an employee. What would be the key things you would advise them on?
Yeah, so it's all about the process. So the process is as important as the reason why you're doing it. And so many times I see employers fall down and claims get brought, not because that they didn't have an entitlement to performance management, because they didn't do it the right way.
Yep.
And so, again, the whole idea is to give that person a reasonable opportunity to fix up their performance. Now, how long do you need to give them? That'll depend on the circumstances, but rarely is it less than 4 weeks. And so you want to be, but it goes back a step further. You need to give them notice prior to the meeting, at least 48 hours notice. You need to ensure they've got a support person and allow them to bring a support person. You need to conduct the meeting in a fair way that allows them to give their point of view. And then you need to tell them what they're doing wrong, what they need to do to fix up their performance, and how long they've got to do it.
Yeah, great. And I think what you said before, it needs to be a conversation. I know that some managers that we've worked with, they go in, right, I'm going to issue a first written warning. Well, actually, you have to give them a right of response, right? You've got to give them the opportunity to say what's actually happened and take that into consideration, right?
Exactly right, because it might be the case that there is a genuine reason why the job wasn't being performed. It might have been a sickness in the family. It might have been, a classic one is, I didn't know I had to do that. You know, if you haven't got good job descriptions and there's no good communication going on, and that's a whole nother story. But if you haven't got those things going on, a common situation is, well, I didn't know I had to do that part of the job. Now I do. Thanks. I know what to do now. And so going straight in and giving them the warning or whatever it might be is both not constructive but also not compliant, because you do need to give them that opportunity to explain what's been going wrong. It might also be that they need more resources. In order, look, I'm back till 8 o'clock at night. They might need more training. There's all sorts of positive outcomes that can come out of the process.
Yeah, and as you said, I think often what I find is business owners potentially put up with poor performance for a period of time before they actually decide to address it. And so when they do address it, they want to generally come in pretty heavy-handed. So I often work with our clients and say, you want to be having those conversations as early as you possibly can, because what you allow is what will continue. But so often out there in the real world in business, we get busy, we kind of put up with it, and then we want to have this discussion, and that's where people fall into those traps. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And it's also, I mean, people forget it's supposed to be a positive situation. Okay, it doesn't look, it looks very negative when you're doing it, but the outcome should always be to get that person back to doing what they're required to do. And so going in with a confrontational approach is counterproductive, and it's not going to work. Now, that said, if they don't, you still need to do all those things, and perhaps give them the warning letter and make sure that is done, because if it doesn't work out, you need to be able to. It's all about a paper trail. I always tell clients it's about a paper trail, being able to say, on this date I had a meeting with them and we said this, or we gave them a warning letter. We gave them a reasonable opportunity. They just didn't take advantage of it. They didn't get there, and we had to move them on.
Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. Well, if you're okay now, thank you so much for your input there. What I'd like to talk about now is dealing with sick and injured employees. I know some of the clients that we've worked with can get frustrated with employees that are potentially off for a long time. And sometimes those reasons seem to be legitimate, and other times I think, actually, it doesn't seem quite right. So what can you share with us there?
Yeah, so, I mean, the legitimate claims, and there's plenty of those around, it's really a matter of the employer giving them sufficient time in order to do it. But let's face it, even with the most legitimate claims, at the end of the day, particularly in small business, someone needs to be able to do the job. And if someone's off because of a back injury or whatever it might be for a period of 6 months, 9 months, someone's filling the job. And particularly, again, in small business, medium-sized businesses, they don't have the capacity to be able to just create new jobs for them. So there's certain bits of legislation that that you need to ensure that you comply with and time frames before you can move employees on. And with the positive ones, it's all about, and we'll get to the negative ones in a minute, but the positive ones, it's all about being able to establish whether they can perform the inherent requirements of the role. And that doesn't matter whether this is legislation in Australia or around the world. The general concept is going to be the same. can they perform those inherent requirements? Now, none of us are doctors, certainly from an employer perspective, and so you need to make sure that you've got the sufficient evidence, whether it be from an independent medical examiner or from the treating doctor, to say, well, this is your job description, this is what they need to be able to do. Can they do this, doctor, or can they not? And after a period, in Australia, for example, it's 3 months, 3 months from the end of sick leave running out. If you wait the 3 months and they're still not able to come back to work, then you're able to terminate because of a failure to perform the inherent requirements role.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.